This adventurous story begins with a man named Matthews, who is being captured and tortured by a group of people. In this kingdom, there was a girl named Cassandra who had the ability to foresee the future. When Matthews became the new king of his kingdom, Cassandra had already predicted that the Pradira Empire would be destroyed. In the present time, her prediction turned out to be true, as a deadly plague had spread throughout the empire, wiping out its people. Cassandra herself became a victim of the epidemic. The people of the kingdom blamed Matthews for all of this, believing that he was responsible. As a result, they captured him, tortured him, and locked him in a room. However, Matthews was an exceptional fighter. He had mastered several combat skills and was an expert swordsman. Using his abilities, he fought back against his captors, defeated them, and escaped. Before becoming the king, Matthews was an assassin, a man who carried out deadly missions on the orders of others. In a way, he blamed himself for the kingdom's downfall. As a ruler, he should have taken strict action to protect his people, but he failed to do so. This was the reason he decided never to return to his kingdom and instead live a normal life as an assassin. Now, the story introduces us to Horus, the king of Egypt. Horus ruled over vast Egyptian lands and was the sole ruler of the empire. However, his younger brother, Tylus, envied him deeply. To oppose his brother, Tylus traveled to China to seek the support of a king named Ramson. He was in search of an ancient book that could resurrect an ancient warrior. With the help of this warrior, Tylus planned to defeat his brother's massive army and seize control of the Egyptian empire. Tylus set out on his journey to China to meet Ramson and seek his help. When Horus learned about his brother's intentions, he was deeply shocked. He immediately summoned his best assassin, Matthews, and informed him about Tylus' plan. Matthews also realized that Tylus was searching for the Book of the Dead, a powerful text that could bring back a dangerous warrior. If Tylus succeeded, he would take control of the entire kingdom. To prevent this from happening, the Egyptian king, Horus, made Matthews an offer. If he could stop Tylus from acquiring the book, he would be rewarded with a great deal of gold coins. Matthews, who was in need of money at the time, agreed to take on the mission. That's why Matthews accepted the offer. He was accompanied by another warrior named Olark, who was also an excellent fighter. Both of them mounted their horses and set off in the direction where Tylus had gone. The journey was going to be extremely long, so they made sure to have horses and kept moving forward. However, as time passed, they realized that their thinking did not align. Olark and Matthews both believed that only one of them could be the captain and lead the way, while the other would follow commands. Since both were capable of leading, disagreements began to arise. Their constant clashes led to frequent fights, not with their enemies, but with each other. Taking advantage of their distraction, a group of thieves appeared. The thieves stole all of Matthews and Olark's resources, including their horses, and ran away. Both warriors were so busy fighting each other that they didn't even realize their belongings had been stolen. Later that night, the thieves gathered around a bonfire, celebrating with the stolen goods. But just then, Matthews and Olark made a dramatic entry. The two of them joined forces and taught the thieves a lesson, defeating them and reclaiming all their stolen supplies. Their horses returned to them, and they recovered whatever food was left. The terrified thieves fled into the darkness. Since it was already late at night, Matthews and Olark decided to spend the night there. After sleeping deeply, they woke up the next morning to find themselves surrounded by a large group of tigers. It seemed as though the tigers were preparing to attack. Being clever warriors, Matthews and Olark outwitted the tigers and made a strategic escape rather than engaging in direct combat. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tylus was shown making plans inside China, preparing for an attack with his massive army. His goal was to invade Ramson's kingdom, knowing that if he could take control of it, he could declare himself king. More importantly, Ramson's kingdom held the key to reaching the Book of the Dead, the ancient text that could change everything. That's why Tylus advanced toward the kingdom with a large army. However, within a short time, several of Ramson's allies informed him that Tylus was coming to attack. Realizing the threat, Ramson gathered all his soldiers at the kingdom's borders and prepared them for battle. Soon, Tylus' forces arrived at the gates and set off a massive explosion. The blast shattered Ramson's massive wall, allowing many of Tylus' soldiers to infiltrate the kingdom. On one side were Ramson's warriors, and on the other were Tylus' soldiers. A fierce battle erupted between them, with heavy casualties on both sides. However, Tylus' army had far greater numbers, causing Ramson's soldiers to weaken under the pressure. Just then, Matthews and Olark made their dramatic entry. Observing the situation, they decided to help Ramson. They fought off many of Tylus' soldiers, but they had a bigger plan in mind. They noticed that several pots in the area contained petrol and other flammable substances. Using this to their advantage, they began spreading the flammable liquid across the battlefield while making eerie sounds. Hearing these sounds, Tyler's soldiers became alarmed, thinking that Ramson's warriors were surrounding them from behind. In panic, half of Tyler's soldiers rushed outside to confront this supposed ambush. At that exact moment, Matthews and Olark set the area on fire. Since the battlefield was covered in flammable material, flames erupted everywhere, engulfing Tyler's soldiers in fire. Seeing this brilliant strategy, Ramson was shocked, wondering who was helping them so effectively. Realizing that the battle was turning against him, Tyler decided to retreat for now, taking his remaining army and fleeing the battlefield. After the fight, Matthews and Olark approached Ramson and demanded their payment in exchange for their assistance. However, Ramson had something else in mind. He showed Matthews a picture of his daughter and revealed a shocking truth: when Tyler attacked, he kidnapped Ramson's daughter. She was now in Tyler's captivity, suffering under his brutal control. Now, Ramson made Matthews an offer: if he could rescue Ramson's daughter from Tyler's captivity, Ramson would marry his daughter to Matthews, making him the new king of the kingdom. Matthews liked the offer, so he set off with Olark to rescue the princess. Meanwhile, we see Tyler, who still had the princess in his custody. He treated her terribly, speaking to her with utter disrespect and declaring that he would forcefully marry her. The princess, helpless in this situation, could do nothing except wait for someone to rescue her. At the same time, Matthews and Olark arrived at Tyler's stronghold, where his entire army was stationed. Some of Tyler's soldiers were seen buying slaves from the poor to use for their labor. Seizing this opportunity, Matthews pretended to sell Olark as a slave, allowing Olark to infiltrate the enemy forces. This gave Matthews the perfect chance to sneak inside undetected. Once inside, Matthews began searching for Princess Celia, trying to determine which tent she was being held in. Meanwhile, Ramson's army launched a sudden attack on Tyler. However, this was just a diversion. Ramson had only sent his troops to distract Tyler's forces so that Matthews could move freely without being attacked. Matthews eventually found Celia and tried to free her. But to his shock, Celia fought back fiercely, attacking him as if she didn't want to be rescued. Even though Matthews was only trying to complete his mission, Celia resisted with all her might. Despite this, Matthews managed to free her, but before they could escape, a group of black ninjas suddenly appeared. These elite warriors wounded Matthews severely and kidnapped Princess Celia, taking her away before he could react. Realizing they had no time to lose, Matthews and Olark immediately pursued the ninjas to save Celia. Just then, Tyler himself made his grand entrance. Inside the tent, Matthews discovered that Celia was missing. Panic surged through him as he rushed outside to search for her. Matthews and Olark tried their best to fight the black ninjas, but unfortunately, their opponents possessed exceptional combat skills. The ninjas wounded Matthews badly and escaped, taking Princess Celia with them. When Tyler learned that Matthews and Olark were also after Celia, he made them an offer. Tyler proposed a deal. He told Matthews, "Bring Celia back to me, and I'll pay you double." Now, no matter what happened, Matthews and Olark had to find Celia, not only because Ramson had already hired them, but now even Tyler was offering them a reward. Without resting, Matthews and Olark set off in pursuit of Celia. Finally, deep inside a dense forest, they spotted the black ninjas. A fierce battle erupted. The ninjas had a brilliant fighting strategy, which Matthews carefully observed. But Matthews fought skillfully, and after an intense battle, he captured the leader of the black ninjas. However, when he removed the leader's mask, he was shocked. It was Princess Celia. Matthews was utterly confused. How had Celia become the leader of the black ninjas? Before he could react, Celia attacked him and knocked him unconscious. A while later, Matthews and Olark regained consciousness inside the ninjas' tents. Determined to uncover the truth, Matthews demanded to know, "Celia, how are you the leader of the black ninjas?" At last, Celia revealed everything. Tyler wanted to enslave several tribal clans. These people were weak, and Celia couldn't bear to see them live like helpless victims. So, she stepped up and trained them, transforming them into warriors capable of defending themselves against Tyler's army. Celia firmly declared, "These tribes deserve their rights." She then told Matthews, "We must go to Tyler and retrieve the pendant. Only with it can we unlock the Book of Death." Matthew already knew about this because when Ramusin showed him a picture of his daughter, the same pendant was in it. But now, that pendant was in Tyler's possession. This was one of the main reasons Celia sided with the tribal people. She had intentionally allowed herself to be kidnapped by Tyler so that she and her dark ninja team could learn about his weaknesses. However, now they had to be even more careful. After explaining everything, Celia asked Matthew for help, suggesting that he join their team so they could fight against Tyler and protect the tribal people, ensuring they received justice. Matthew understood everything but refused, as he never worked without money or some kind of currency in return. As he began to leave, Celia reminded him that perhaps this mission could help him correct the mistakes of his past. Celia already knew about Matthew's history, how he was once a king of a powerful kingdom, but due to one mistake, his people were killed, and now he had become a wanderer. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tyler's massive army launched a sudden attack on Ramu Sen's kingdom. The unexpected assault left Ramu Sen's forces unprepared, and a large number of his soldiers were killed. The situation became so dire that Ramu Sen was forced to surrender before Tyler. Ramu Sen knew that Tyler had come to open the Book of Death, but he warned Tyler that he would never be able to unlock it. What Ramu Sen didn't realize was that Tyler already had the pendant needed to open the book. He had stolen it from Celia. This meant that Tyler now held the key to unlocking the Book of Death. With ruthless efficiency, Tyler killed Ramu Sen and all his remaining soldiers. Now, he set out for a vast ancient site, where he planned to perform the ritual to resurrect the ancient warriors. Back in the forest, after Celia's heartfelt explanation, Matthew finally agreed to help her. To stand with Celia meant that Matthew would now fight against Tyler and help bring justice to the tribal people. Tyler already possessed the Book of Death, along with the key to unlock it. Using its power, he resurrected 3 deadly ancient warriors, Jalu, Agromil, and Sukai. Each of these warriors had unique and dangerous abilities. Now, they were completely under Tyler's control, bound to follow his every command. Tyler ordered Jalu and Sukai to eliminate Celia and all her dark ninjas as soon as possible, while Agromil, the strongest among them, was assigned to protect Tyler. In the forest, Jalu and Sukai launched a brutal attack on the black ninjas, using their magical powers to slaughter many. Matthew and Olark were also present, fighting alongside the ninjas. Sukai charged directly at Matthew with her sword, forcing him to retreat. Matthew had never witnessed such immense power before, but he fought back with everything he had. Realizing he was at a disadvantage, he decided it was wiser to retreat for now. Dodging Sukai's sword attacks, he managed to escape, causing her blade to get stuck in a tree. Meanwhile, the other warriors ganged up on Jalu, forcing him into a difficult position where he couldn't fully utilize his abilities. Matthew and the black ninjas coordinated their attacks strategically, eventually overpowering Jalu and trapping him. In a final move, Matthew used Jalu's own weapon against him, burning him alive and killing him. When Tyler received news of Jalu's death, he was furious at Sukai for failing her mission. Since one of his ancient warriors had been killed, Tyler was enraged. He now ordered Agromil and Sukai to guard the Book of Death at all costs. No matter what happened, they had to protect it. A few days later, Tyler organized a grand celebration at his palace, inviting many important figures. Matthew and Olark, sticking to their secret plan, pretended to capture Celia and brought her to Tyler as a prisoner. Tyler was thrilled, believing that they had accomplished the mission perfectly. Matthew even claimed to have the head of the Black Ninja leader as proof. Falling for the deception, Tyler was overjoyed and immediately announced that he would marry Celia the next day. As a reward, he promised to grant Matthew a fortune in gold coins. Satisfied, he took Celia to his private chamber. While the guests at the palace continued celebrating, Matthew and Olark stuck to their mission. They discussed their next steps. Matthew assigned Olark the task of finding the Book of Death, while he himself went to retrieve the pendant and rescue Celia. Inside the chamber, Tyler began to force himself on Celia, while she waited desperately for Matthew to arrive. At the perfect moment, Matthew stormed in and attacked Tyler. His first move was to snatch the pendant, the key to unlocking the Book of Death. Then, he freed Celia from Tyler's grasp, ensuring her safety. Just when they thought they had the upper hand, Sukai entered the room. Seeing the pendant in Matthew's hand, he attempted to use a trick, claiming, "I am your new master now." However, Sukai coldly replied that she would only obey the one who cast the spell, which meant she was still loyal to Tyler. Without hesitation, Sukai attacked Matthew, snatching the pendant from him and returning it to Tyler. Taking advantage of the moment, Tyler immediately fled from the scene. As he escaped, he gave one final order to Sukai: kill both Celia and Matthew. With this command, Sukai stood in front of them, sword in hand, ready for battle. But Celia, showing immense courage, told Matthew to chase after Tyler while she handled Sukai alone. Trusting Celia's strength, Matthew left to pursue Tyler. Meanwhile, on the other side, Olark managed to seize the Book of Death, but before he could escape, Agromil appeared. Since Agromil had been assigned to guard the book, he immediately attacked Olark. At the same time, Tyler was seen riding his horse, trying to escape with the pendant. However, Matthew was relentlessly chasing him, determined to reclaim it. Realizing he needed a plan, Tyler threw a burning piece of wood near a pile of gunpowder, causing a massive explosion. The blast sent Matthew flying, leaving him injured. Tyler, feeling victorious, sped away on his horse. However, his escape was soon interrupted. As he traveled further, he encountered a battalion of Ramu Sen soldiers. The sheer number of warriors left him overwhelmed, as he was alone with no backup. Before he could react, Matthew arrived again, demanding the pendant. Seeing no other way out, Matthew challenged Tyler to a one-on-one fight. If Tyler refused to hand over the pendant, he would have to face Matthew in battle. Tyler knew that fighting Matthew meant certain death. Fearful for his life, he surrendered the pendant. However, he tried to bargain, saying, "Only I know the sacred incantations. Without the correct language, you will never be able to read the Book of Death." Matthew, uninterested in Tyler's threats, took the pendant and left. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom, Sukai and Agromil had severely wounded both Olark and Celia. The two warriors were now preparing to end their lives once and for all. But then, suddenly, spells were cast, spells that Matthew had learned with the help of Ramusen, who was still alive. As soon as the spell was completed, Agromil and Sukai fell under Matthew's control, making him their new master. From now on, they would follow only his commands. Meanwhile, Celia rushed to her father, Ramusen, and, with teary eyes, apologized for never telling him the truth, that she was the leader of the Black Ninjas. But Ramusen, instead of being angry, expressed his pride in her. He told Celia that she had made a brave decision at such a young age, all for the sake of their people. He saw it as the greatest achievement of a father, to have a daughter so strong and wise. Saying these last words, Ramusen took his final breath and passed away. Celia was devastated, overwhelmed by the loss of her father. Meanwhile, Ramusen's remaining army captured Tyler. They did not show him any mercy and brutally beat him to death. Tyler's plan had completely failed, his ambitions shattered forever. The next day, a new force entered the territory. King Horus had arrived with a massive army, aiming to conquer the land and bring everything under his rule. But Matthew stepped forward and boldly declared, "Both these kingdoms have chosen me as their new ruler. From now on, neither Tyler's nor Ramusen's army will serve under anyone. Every warrior, every citizen, is free to choose their own path in life." Matthew stood with immense confidence and challenged King Horus directly, "If you want to fight us, we are ready. But the only outcome will be your defeat." King Horus quickly realized the truth. Matthew now commanded a massive army, formed from the combined forces of both Tyler's and Ramusen's troops. Engaging in battle at this moment would be suicide. Understanding that he had no chance of victory, King Horus conceded defeat, congratulated Matthew on his victory, and retreated with his army. With peace finally restored, Matthew took charge as the new ruler, vowing to take care of his people, develop the land, and lead with justice and wisdom. And so, our story comes to an end.